and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
it sounds good to me. Yeah. You know why? Because they kill a lot of people. Yeah.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do something?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. You know, a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side, but there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, trying to protect him.
You, though, there's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
Can I just add something? So when he first got elected in January, we met, you know, biggest comeback ever. We talked about
You think so, really? I didn't feel it was a comeback, actually.
So
Because the first one was...
the bottom line is we talked about a drug caliphate in our backyard. You know, we had Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these three countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. Joe Biden put a $25 billion bounty on Maduro's head. Chris Smith, the day he got inaugurated, said, I hope Trump will hold Maduro's feet to the fire. You did. So what has he done? He's going to clear our backyard of a drug caliphate, countries run by narco-terrorist dictators who murder, rape, send drugs into our country to kill thousands of our citizens. To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this. When bin Laden went down, I was the first to applaud President Obama. This was one of the most sophisticated military operations in the history of the country. What they were able to do was amazing. They knew we were coming. We had a good part of the Navy, and they were able to capture this man alive. No military in the world could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
By the way, you know, you mentioned something that's interesting. Lindsay mentioned bin Laden. Do you know I wrote about bin Laden 1 year before the attack on the World Trade Center? And I said, you got to go after bin Laden. It was in my book. And very few people want to say that, but it was in my book. You know that, I think. You've actually talked about it. But if they would have listened to me, they would have taken out bin Laden, then you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center tragedy.
Yeah, this is certainly going.
Did you know that? I predicted bin Laden.
I learned something every day.
No, but did you hear that?
Well, I didn't now. I just heard it right now.
No, I wrote a book. It was 1 year before the attack that the book came out, and it talked about, there's a whole page, a whole section dedicated to a guy named bin Laden who's a bad guy who you have to take out.
So I'll get the book. But right after the election, he told me, I'm going to clean up our backyard. Now, this was before he took office. This is one of the president's priorities, is to make sure that people in our backyard, narco-terrorist states, will not continue to kill Americans without the number of people that will be alive today because Venezuela will be in different hands is going to be tens of thousands. This is something to be celebrated, whether you like him or not.
Not just Venezuela. It's what's coming out of Venezuela in the form of ocean-going and Gulf-going and sea-going boats. Every time we knock out a boat, and we've done a lot of them, we did 3 over the last few days. They're very rare now. You don't see too many of them.
Hard to recruit.
But drugs by sea are down 97%. Think of that. And now we're going to stop them by land, too. The land is easy. We had to do the sea before we did the land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like
And by the way, you have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. We'd love Mexico to do it. They're capable of doing it. But unfortunately, the cartels are very strong in Mexico.
I remember one time you actually, speaking of Mexico, I asked you about Claudia Sheinbaum, and you told me at one point you had offered to send U.S. troops into
Sure,
Mexico to combat drug trafficking there. Is that something you've spoken
I like
to her
Claudia.
about?
I think she's a terrific person. I would say every single time I talk to her, I offered to send troops.
And she's just not willing?
She's concerned. She's a little afraid. The cartels are running Mexico. Whether you like it or not, it's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico.
Yeah, speaking of those U.S. troops, I mean, one thing that Americans and a lot of people are wondering, you just sounded like you weighed out another strike, another land strike at least in Venezuela. You sound like you weighed that out. But
No, we haven't. We didn't need it. We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed. We're totally prepared.
But that's off
We're
the
still
table.
prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
Will you demand
The
that
question is that the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it
So
that.
if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that,
She called
frankly,
it-
well, you know, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
No, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're just going to have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad. It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to reopen its embassy in Caracas or get the DEA?
We're thinking about it. We've been asked to do it.
You
We've actually been asked to do it.
Do you think
You had Putin and on the phone, of course, and then Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
You told me that
Numerous times.
You told me that your New Year's resolution was peace on earth. Do you think that 2026, if you could set a deadline of when the Russia-Ukraine
I
war...
don't do deadlines, but I would say that, you know, like as an example, Thailand and Cambodia.
Well, where
I was
does it-
very
where does
proud
it
of that.
actually
Wait a minute.
stand
And they
between
started
Russia-
up again and they got it solved.
Where does it
I give
actually-
myself 1/4 of a point for that. So now I'm 8 1/4 points because they started up Thailand and Cambodia and now it's okay.
So where does it actually stand between Russia
I
and
think we'll have a
Ukraine
deal
right now?
at some point, hopefully in the not too distant. So I don't know if you saw the numbers just came out. 30,000 soldiers were killed this current month.
And there was that intelligence.
30,000. 27,000 the month before.
You and Senator Ray discussed additional Russia sanctions.
We discuss it all the time. There's nothing else I talk to him. I don't consider him very exciting to talk to, except when we're talking about legislation. And we talk about legislation all the time. You think that's an exciting relationship? It's not. But we talk a lot about legislation, and we have great legislation coming. You want to tell them?
So the tariff bill, so here's what I believe. I don't think we could have secured the border without the threat of tariffs. I don't think we'd have a European trade deal without the threat of tariffs. So if you want to end this conflict, then put pressure on Putin's customers. He sanctioned the 2 largest oil companies in Russia, which is the biggest pressure anybody's put on Putin since the war started. But we have 85 co-sponsors to give this president...
It's hurting Russia very bad, the sanctions.
Oh, yeah. So this bill would allow...
And India also is bullish.
Yes, sir. So you put a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. I was in